Don't turn around, just look at me and smile. Pretend I'm your dad. The voice was low. Like gravel grinding together, it came from a man who looked like he had walked straight out of a nightmare. He was huge. He wore a leather vest with a patch I recognized from movies, a skull with wings, a Hell's Angel, or at least someone trying to look like one. My heart hammered against my ribs so hard I thought it would crack the bone. I was standing at a lonely gas station pump on the edge of Nevada, miles from civilization. It was raining, that cold, stinging rain that smells like dust and old asphalt. I froze. The gas nozzle slick in my hand. My first instinct was to scream, to run. This man was terrifying. He had a gray beard, scars running down his arms, and sunglasses on even though it was pitch black outside. Do it, he whispered again, urgency bleeding into his voice. There's a blue van behind you. The man inside has been following you for 40 miles if you panic. He takes you, smile at me, hug me. I didn't know why, but I listened. Maybe it was the terror. Maybe it was the specific detail about the blue van, something I had vaguely noticed in my rearview mirror, but ignored. I forced a smile. It felt brittle, like glass about to shatter. I stepped forward and wrapped my arms around this terrifying stranger's leather vest. He smelled like stale tobacco, rain, and peppermint. Hey, Dad, I managed to choke out, my voice trembling. I didn't think you'd make it. He hugged me back. His grip was firm, protective, not predatory. He patted my back. Thump, 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 a rhythm, a specific, heavy rhythm. I got you, kiddo. He said loud enough for anyone watching to hear. Sorry I'm late. Let's get you some coffee. Over his shoulder, I watched the reflection in the gas station window. The blue van, parked in the shadows near the air pump, suddenly turned its lights on. The engine revved, and it peeled out of the lot, screeching onto the highway and disappearing into the night. My knees gave out. The biker caught me before I hit the oily pavement. Easy, he said, his voice gentle. Now he's gone. I pulled away, gasping for air, the adrenaline finally crashing down on me. I looked up at him, ready to thank him, ready to run to my car and lock the doors. But then he took off his sunglasses and the world stopped. Ty didn't know this man. I had never met him, but those eyes, they were moss green with flecks of gold. They were my eyes. He looked at me, and for a second, the tough biker facade crumbled. He looked broken. He looked like he was seeing a ghost. You okay, Maya? He asked. I stepped back, my back hitting my car door. How do you know my name? He looked down at his boots, then back at me. Because, he said, his voice cracking, I'm the monster your mother told you to hide from. To understand why that sentence froze my blood. You have to understand, my mother, Elena, my whole life, it was just us, Elena and Maya, against the world. My mother was beautiful, poised and terrifyingly perfect. She was a high-end real estate agent in Seattle. We lived in a pristine glass condo. Everything in our life was white, beige, or gray. No mess, no noise, and definitely no men. Mother hated men. She didn't just dislike them. She feared them. Your father, she would tell me when I was little, tucking me into my starch-stiff sheets, was a dangerous man. Maya, a criminal. He hurt us. We had to run away to survive. She never gave me a name, no photos, no birth certificate. With a signature, just a story of a boogeyman who drank too much, rode motorcycles, and broke bones. If he ever finds us, she'd warn me, her fingernails digging into my shoulder a little too hard, he will take you away and I will never see you again. So I grew up looking over my shoulder. I grew up terrified of loud noises, of motorcycles, of men with tattoos. I was 24. Now I had just graduated from nursing school. This road trip was my first taste of freedom. I was moving to Phoenix for a job, a decision my mother had fought for months. You can't go, Maya. It's not safe. Asterisk, she had screamed, throwing a vase against the wall just 2 days ago. Asterisk, you don't know what's out there. I had left anyway. I needed to breathe, and now here I was in a rainy gas station parking lot, staring at the very embodiment of my mother's warnings. You need to stay back, I warned the biker, reaching into my pocket for my pepper spray. I don't know who you are, but I'm calling the police. The man, this giant, scarred biker, didn't move toward me. He put his hands up, showing me his empty palms. I'm not going to hurt you. Maya, I needed to make sure you were safe. Your mother, she posted about your move. She shouldn't have done that with the people I used to run with still out there. Who are you? I demanded. Are you him? Are you the monster? He gave A sad, dry chuckle. Is that what she calls me, the monster? He reached into his vest pocket. I flinched, but he only pulled out a worn, plastic-wrapped photograph. He held it out to me. Hand shook as I took it. It was an old Polaroid. The colors were fading in the picture. A young woman was sitting on the back of a Harley Davidson. She was laughing, her head thrown back, wearing a leather jacket. It was my mother, but she looked different, wild, happy, not the stiff, cold woman I knew, and holding her, with a baby strapped to his chest in a carrier, was the man standing in front of me, but he was younger, cleaner shaven. He was looking down at the baby with a look of such pure, overwhelming love that it made my chest ache. The baby was wearing a tiny knitted hat with bare ears. I still had that hat. It was buried in the bottom of my keepsake box. Mom told me she bought it at a boutique in Paris. I'm not a monster. Maya, the man said softly, my name is Jack and I'm your dad. I didn't run, I couldn't. The photo was undeniable proof that my mother had lied about something massively. Sut, in the 24-hour diner attached to the gas station, the fluorescent lights hummed overhead. I sat in the booth, clutching a mug of tea with both hands to stop them from shaking. Jack sat opposite me. He looked out of place. Too big for the booth, too rough for the scenery. He didn't order anything. He just watched me, drinking. Me and like a man dying of thirst. Why now? I asked, if you're my dad, where have you been for 20 years? Jack sighed, rubbing a hand over his face. Prison. Mostly, then parole, then searching. Prison, I repeated, feeling a cold knot in my stomach. So Mom was right, you are a criminal. I was a Hell's Angel, yeah? Jack admitted, I did things I'm not proud of, but I never hurt you and I never laid a hand on Elena. I worshipped the ground that woman walked on. Then why did she run? Jack leaned forward, his expression hardening. She didn't run, Maya, she made a deal. What kind of deal? The kind that cost me 20 years of my life? He pulled a thick manila envelope from his jacket and slid it across the table. I don't expect you to believe me, Elena. She's persuasive, she can rewrite history, but facts are facts. I opened the envelope. Inside were court documents, newspaper clippings, and letters, dozens of letters. I picked up a newspaper clipping from 2001 * local biker. Sentenced to 25 years for armed robbery and fraud *. I went down for a robbery. Jack said, a heist at a jewelry exchange, but I didn't do it. Everyone says they didn't do it. I shot back, sounding more like my mother than I wanted to. Read the witness statement, he said, pointing to a highlighted paragraph in the police report. I read it. The key witness who placed Jack at the scene, the witness who testified that he was the mastermind and that he was violent and unstable, was Elena Vance, my mother. She testified against you? She did more than that, Jack said. Maya, look at the bank statements underneath. I shuffled the papers. There were copies of bank transfers 2 days after Jack was sentenced. A wire transfer of $300,000 was deposited into an account in the Cayman Islands. The account holder was obscured, but the transfer originated from the insurance payout of the stolen jewelry. I didn't steal the diamonds, Maya, Jack whispered. Elena did. She was the inside man. She worked at the exchange as a secretary. She set it up, she planned it, but when the heat came down, she needed a fall guy. My head was spinning. No, my mother's a real estate agent. She's obsessed with rules. She doesn't steal diamonds. She wasn't a real estate agent. Then she was a wild girl who wanted a rich life but fell in love with a biker. And when she realized the biker life meant struggling for money, she took a shortcut. He reached out, his rough hand hovering over mine, but not touching. She told me if I took the fall, if I confessed, she would wait for me. She said she'd keep you safe. She said she'd use the money to get us a lawyer for an appeal later. I was young, I was stupid, and I loved her, so I pled guilty. Tears pricked my eyes. And then, Jack's voice broke. The day I got to prison, she filed for divorce. She took the money, changed her name, changed your name, and vanished. I wrote to her every week for 10 years, every single week. She never answered. He pointed to the stack of unopened letters in the envelope. They were all returned to sender. I stared at the letters. The handwriting was desperate. * Please, Elena, let me see my *. I won't tell them about the money. Just send me a picture. *. I miss my girls. *. I looked up at Jack the monster, the criminal, the man who had just saved me from a stalker in the parking lot. The guy in the blue van, I realized. Who was he? A private investigator? Jack said grimly. I hired him to find you when I got out 2 years ago, but he went rogue. He figured out who Elena really was, and he figured out she still has the unrecovered diamonds. He wasn't following you to find me, he was following you to get leverage on her. So you saved me from a danger my mother created? I've been following you for 300 miles, Maya. Jack said, just making sure you were okay. I wasn't going to talk to you. I didn't want to ruin your life. But when I saw him pull in behind you, I had to step in. I sat back, the leather of the booth creaking. My entire life felt like a lie. The woman who checked my homework, who criticized my posture, who told me men were evil. She was the criminal. She was the liar. I need to talk to her. I said, standing up. Maya, be careful, Jack warned. She's been protecting this lie for 20 years. People do dangerous things when they're cornered. I'm not a child anymore, I said, grabbing the envelope. I'm driving to Phoenix, but I'm making a stop first. She's at a conference in Portland that's only 2 hours back the way I came. I'm coming with you, Jack said, standing up to his full, intimidating height. No, I said. I need to do this alone, but can you follow me, just in case? Jack smiled. It was the first real smile I'd seen. I'm never letting you out of my sight again. Being a memory flashed in my brain, a deep voice singing, You Are My Sunshine, and calling me Bean. I thought I had imagined Heidi walked out. To my car, the rain had stopped, but the storm was just beginning. I drove back toward Portland, my knuckles white on the steering wheel in my rearview mirror. A single headlight cut through the darkness. Jack, my dad, found my mother at the luxury hotel where her real estate conference was being held. It was 2 a.m. I didn't care. I banged on her hotel room door until she opened it. She was wearing a silk robe, her face covered in a sleeping mask which she pushed up into her hair. Maya. She looked confused, blinking in the hallway light. What are you doing here? You're supposed to be halfway to Arizona. Is everything okay? I pushed past her into the room. It smelled like lavender and expensive moisturizer, the smell of my childhood. The smell of deception. We need to talk, Mom. She closed the door, her face shifting from confusion to that cold, controlling mask I knew so well. Lo, your voice, you're hysterical. What happened? I threw the envelope onto the perfectly made bed. It landed with a heavy thud. I met a nice man at a gas station. I said, my voice shaking with rage. He helped me with a flat tire, or actually, he saved me from a man who was stalking us because of your stolen diamonds. Elena's face went pale, not just white-gray. All the blood drained from her cheeks. She looked at the envelope. Then at me. I don't know what you're talking about, she whispered, but her voice lacked its usual steel. Don't lie to me, I screamed. I met Jack. I met Dad. Elena flinched as if I'd slapped her. She walked over to the minibar, her hands trembling as she reached for a bottle of water. He's a liar. Maya, she said, her back to me. He's a manipulator, that's what he... Does he gets into your head? He probably forged those papers. Did he forge the photos? I asked. Did he forge the fact that you testified against him? Did he forge the fact that you have a secret bank account in the Caymans? She spun around, her eyes wide. He told you about the money, so it's true. It was for us. She yelled, the mask finally cracking. You don't understand, Maya. We were poor. We were living in a trailer. He was a biker. He was going nowhere. I wanted a life for you. I wanted you to go to good schools, to wear nice clothes, to be safe. So you stole? I asked, disgusted, and you let the man who loved you go to prison for it? He offered. She cried, tears streaming down her face. He said he'd handle it. He said he'd handle it because you promised to wait for him. Instead, you took the money and ran. You erased him. I did it to protect you. She stepped toward me, reaching out. A child shouldn't grow up visiting a father in prison. A child shouldn't be raised by a Hell's Angel. Look at you. Maya, you're a nurse, you're successful, you have class. You wouldn't have any of that if we had stayed with him. I looked at my mother, really looked at her. I saw the designer clothes, the expensive jewelry, the frantic need for control. You didn't do it for me, I said softly. You did it for you. You were ashamed of him. You used him. And you threw him away. He is a dangerous man, she hissed, her eyes narrowing. If he is here, you are in danger. The only person I've ever been in danger from is you. I said, You lied to me every single day of my life. I turned to the door. If you walk out that door, my mother threatened, her voice dropping to a cold, hard tone. I will. Cut you off, you won't get a dime, the condo, the car, your trust fund, it's all gone. I stopped with my hand on the handle. I looked back at her. She stood there, clutching her silk robe, surrounded by luxury, completely alone. Keep the money, Mom. I said, it's blood money anyway. I opened the door. Standing in the hallway, leaning against the wall with his arms crossed, was Jack. My mother gasped. She took a step back. Terrified, Jack looked at her. He didn't yell, he didn't attack, he just looked at her with 20 years of sadness. Hello, Elena, he said. Jack, she whimpered. Please don't hurt me. I'm not going to hurt you, Jack said. I just came to pick up my daughter. He offered me his arm, ready to go, Bean. I took his arm. It felt solid, real. Yeah, Dad, I said. Let's go. We walked down the hallway, leaving my mother standing in the doorway of her perfect, empty life. We didn't go to Phoenix, not right away. Instead, Jack and I spent the next 2 weeks on the road. He rode his bike, and I drove my car behind him, but every night we stopped at diners and cheap motels. He told me stories, not the scary ones, but the funny ones. He told me about how I used to sleep on his chest while he watched TV. He told me about the lullabies he sang. He listened to me talk about nursing school, about my fears, about the boy I had a crush on in high school. He wasn't perfect. He was rough around the edges. He swore too much. He smoked, and he had a temper when people were rude to waitresses, but he was honest. He never lied to me, not once. We were sitting on the hood of my car one evening, watching the sunset over the Grand Canyon. The colors were painting the sky in purple and gold, you know, Jack said, taking a sip of his coffee. I missed a lot. I can't get those 20 years back. No, I said, leaning my head on his shoulder. The leather of his vest was warm from the sun. But we have the next 20. He squeezed my shoulder. Your mom, she called my lawyer. I stiffened. What did she say? She's turning herself in, Jack said, apparently. The pie I hired, the one in the blue van, he had enough evidence to bury her. She's cutting a deal. She's going to give back what's left of the money. I felt a pang of sadness. She was still my mother, but she had made her choices. Does that mean your record gets cleared? I asked. Maybe. Jack shrugged. But it doesn't matter. I don't care what the world thinks of me. I only care what you think. I looked at him. The scars, the tattoos, the tired eyes. I think, I said, smiling, that you're the best dad I could have asked for. They say you can't choose your family, and for a long time I thought that was a curse. I thought I was stuck with a cold, lying mother and a ghost of a father. But that night at the gas station, when a terrifying biker whispered in my ear, I realized that sometimes family isn't about who raises you in a perfect house. It's about who shows up when it's raining. It's about who stands between you and the danger. My dad might look like a villain to the rest of the world, but to me, he's the hero who waited 20 years just to buy me a cup of coffee, and I wouldn't trade him for all the diamonds in the world. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've ever felt like the black sheep of your family, or if you've discovered a secret that changed everything, let me know in the comments. Remember, the truth may hurt, but lies are what truly leave scars. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Evermom Studios for more true stories of betrayal, love, and redemption. See you in the next video.